Mm-hmm.
A catalyst for change with the chance to thrive. Crystal is the one to stir up gifts and save lives. You get exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience, ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime. Hey, come on.
That I'm doing the insurance series with. And so I'm so excited about having Dr. Jonica Rowland. So let me just bring myself up on the screen. Hello, hello, hello. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? It's Sunday evening. Thank you for joining Story Time today. It is September 28th, and I'm happy to be here with you today. Just a little relaxed. I got my hair up today, relaxed, just coming to you to talk about some serious business. You know, we do a lot of entertainment. We do a lot talking about people's stories and bringing you products and services and fun stuff. But today is about serious business. You know, we're going to talk about insurance awareness. And I have the right person to do it. And she has been with me through this ride for a while, and that is Dr. Jonica Rowland. And, you know, for someone who may not know, she's actually in my book. The book that I wrote, Final Wishes, Dr. Rowland is actually in the book, you know. Why are we talking about insurance awareness? Let me just tell you. Because we want you to understand how to protect yourself. We want you to understand how to protect your assets, and we want you to have peace of mind. You know, so let me bring my co-host tonight. I'm gonna call her co-host because she's a guest, but she's a co-host too tonight. Jonica, you there? Hey,
Yes.
how you doing?
Hi.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Hi.
I I know you got a busy day today, and
Yeah.
the thing about it is, it pertains to what we're talking about. When you said that to me when we just talked in the last hour, I was like, wow, see, this is real stuff. This is real stuff. But I want to say hello to you. I want to welcome you once again and thank you for what you do. Thank you for providing the insurance. I mean, Jonica has given me about, I don't know how many policies I have, 4, 5, 6 with her. And she makes sure you get what you need. So if you don't have that, I need for you to make sure you get that because it's so important. And like I said, Jonica's actually in my book. For those of you who have found out, because I don't talk about it that much, because I actually wrote a book about the very topic too, about insurance and why it's important. And she's in the book. She's in the book, and she talked about why it's important, you know. And I want to thank you again for that and for what she said. And so let me tell you a little bit about this book. We're going to tell you about some things you need to know about insurance. We're going to tell you some things you need to know about financial assistance. We're going to tell you some things you need to know about why you need to take life serious. Am I right about it, Jonica?
Oh, you're truly right because we lost loved ones earlier in our life, and we're only what near 60, and we have to put the hard work in. We have to do the talk and put our action where our mouth is. Hmm.
And a lot of time people do a lot of talking. You know, they do a lot of talking, but they don't put the pen down and they don't take care of business. And I want to say, my condolences to you because you had a loss today.
Yeah,
If that was in the family, I know if it was a client or was it family.
it was family. My husband's cousin, and I just love my husband family, but She lost her brother, which is his cousin. Hmm.
And so the purpose of this
Uh,
show today,
she lost him like an hour ago, y'all. Just an hour ago. Okay, not yesterday, but around an hour and a half ago. Hmm.
Jonica, was it unexpected?
Um, well, I can't give out too much of their business, but no, it was a slow death, and
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I asked that question,
happened, and then it was a slow death. Uh-huh.
okay, and those are not easy either. But the
Hmm.
reason why I asked that question is we want you to be prepared for all of the above. We want you to be prepared for those that are going through transition, and it's kind of like they gave you a timeline, and you know something is happening, and you start to prepare. We want to prepare you for those unexpected phone calls, tragedies. We want to prepare you for the the unexpected and the inevitable, you know. And it's not a conversation a lot of people like to have. It really is not, but it is important to have it. And I come from the standpoint of the preparation and final wishes uh, standpoint. When I talk about that in my book, I talk about why you want to have the conversation so that your loved ones that are left behind, they know what you wanted and they're not put in a even more overwhelming position to have to do what they have to do, you know. So Jonica, I'm gonna let you take the wheel and kind of tell us which direction you want to start with, because this is such a broad area, you know. I mean, when we talk about all the different important topics and subtopics, where do you want to start, man? Where do you want to start? Because I just wanted to start with saying, let's get serious, y'all. And let me just put the camera and get close to you for a minute. I just want to start by saying we really, really, really have to get serious.
Hmm.
We have to talk about the things that we don't want to talk about with our children. We have to leave things. My book, right? In my book, I have pages in here where you can write things down, and then you could tell them, listen, the book is over in the drawer, and therefore, after you left it in the drawer, even though it's a rough time, they have what they need. They don't have to go scrambling trying to find stuff. They're already in shock, right? So at least you give them some type of blueprint. You can't help them emotionally, but at least once the shock wears off, you give them something. And not only that, but I even have a letter here you can write to them, right? So you can say something to that son, that daughter, that husband, that wife, that significant other, because you know their personality, right? So you already know how they're thinking. You already know their biggest fears. You already know this. So you can address that. So you can calm their spirit with a letter to them. So that's what I want you to do. So somewhere in the comments and in the description, I will make sure I leave you the links for that. But Jonica, I want to know, which director do you want to start? And I'm gonna let you take the wheel so we can really, really, really dive in, take it slow. And I told people they can come back later and actually put questions in, but we talked about this a couple of times, but what direction do you want to go in?
Okay, well, it's appropriate to be discussing that this month. I know I look like I'm in a jungle, but life is sometimes like a jungle. Um, but it's appropriate to discuss it this month because of the simple fact that this is Life Insurance Awareness Month. Now you're aware that this is Life Insurance Awareness Month. You're watching the news. We know people die. One day we will be passing away too. And it is time to get our priorities set. What are your priorities? What are your priorities if you get chronically ill? If we're not doing what we're supposed to do for our health, chronic illness is coming. Okay. There's no other way to put it. Um, and if someone's given a certain time to live, it's too late to try to go ahead and get life insurance and other insurances because the insurance companies aren't going to want to take the risk. And the risk is you paying $30 or $100, and then the insurance company got to take the risk of paying 10,000 or $1 million because someone passed away from either illness or an accident. So a lot of people be like, the insurance companies are stealing the money, okay, and they aren't. They aren't taking your money. Thank you. The insurance companies aren't taking your money. You're giving the money to take the risk that you may not live until 100 and 120 years old. If you pass away before then, they have to pay. They have to honor that contract. And so that's why there are some plans that may be more expensive because some people waited until it's late and they got a final expense plan. And by the way, I'm sorry, I should have just introduced myself. I am Dr. Jonica Rowland. I've been a licensed agent since 2005. Crystal, you were born then, right? Yeah, you were born before. and
Yes.
and from there, I saw the need for not just I started out with health insurance. I would go to small business owners, find out that they didn't have life insurance, they didn't have disability insurance, they had no type of benefits, so they can. And then you go to people who are investing. If the investments aren't up where it needs to be to leave an inheritance, um, they'll get that little bit of money. But if you have the life insurance, you can go ahead and at least leave enough to pay the funeral and the mortgage, send the children to college. It's just so much we can do with life insurance, but we don't want to pay that bill now. But we do want the big screen TV. We do want to go to the concerts, and we're not saying you can't have any entertainment. We're just saying let's get our priorities together. We're not
Yes.
we are perfect, and we're going to be perfect, but at least when life happens, we have some idea of what to do. And that's what that book is about. Being prepared, preparing ourselves, preparations, priorities. We have to set it because everyone can't fund GoFundMe's. I mean, everyone can't do that. And sometimes they don't even trust that. Eh, um, Everyone may not have a church that would take up an offering for you,
Mm.
you know. um and everyone may not have a family who can contribute enough to someone's funeral or someone's long-term care. Okay, so if we say we love people, let's show it. Let's show it by having love, a life
Yes.
insurance. See, okay. Let's show it. If you're 90 or 100 years old and you run into the risk of it running out, um we educate our family on how they're going to pay for this funeral, okay? And
Let me
cremation,
break in right there. Let me break in right there. Do me a
cremation.
favor, Monica. Sit back just a
Uh,
little bit. Sit back.
yeah,
I mean, you got a beautiful
I'm
face, but
sorry.
I want you to go
Yeah,
back a little bit.
I
I know
got.
you probably got it up so you can see, because I know we senior citizens, so sometimes we want to be able to see our screen, but I just need you to go back just a
Oh,
little bit.
yeah. I just got excited. I was getting in it. Okay,
Okay, okay. Yeah. And then
I
pick
apologize.
yourself up a little bit. So you pick yourself up.
Oh
But
yeah.
let me ask you this. Let's talk a little bit about financial assistance too, because a lot of people are not aware that there are some resources in place to help in this area. It's not a policy, but there are some things in place. So let's give them a little bit of insight about the financial assistance also, so that we can definitely help some people, because that is a really good opportunity to help multiple people.
Mhm.
And I think that's important information as well. So can we talk about the financial assistance and really break down what is financial assistance? What do we mean when we say that? What does it cover? Who does it cover? What type of information do they need to have for the people that they want to cover? And all the important details that they would need for that.
Okay. So please don't use the word financial assistance, because when you use the word financial assistance, someone is thinking that you're going to give them some money to help do what they need to do, like financial aid for school, financial assistance. It's
So
called
what should we call it? What should we call it?
funeral expense plan.
Funeral expense. Okay.
Uh-huh. And it's not a life insurance policy. The funeral expense plan is exactly what it is. It's going to pay for the funeral. That's it. It's not going to leave you any money to use to pay the other bills outside of the funeral and the burial plot. And along with that, that's going to be available for you in the event someone passes away in the United States, and it's in around 48 states. Wherever someone passed away, they will be transported to the state where they need to be buried. Okay, wherever the funeral needs to be, they are transported. And not only that, it's the paying for a round trip flight for the individual who is responsible for taking out that plan. And it's for 7 people. Funeral expense for 7 people. Okay? 7 funerals.
That's the part that's really good. 7 people, and it's reasonable. So what you're saying is an individual
Uh-huh.
can have a concern for uh, a family member, a friend, anyone. They don't have to be related, and they can cover them so that if you know this person, maybe it's a senior citizen person, somebody you know does not have a policy, okay? Somebody that you know does not have a policy, and you just need to get the information that she's going to give you, and you can cover them. And these people, at least you know, can be buried because there are people who pass away and then they lay around for a while, so you don't want that to happen to your loved ones. And I don't know if Jonica has any stories about how that process goes for people who are not insured and what happens to those people. If you have that, maybe you need to share that so people understand how inconvenient that could be. But yeah, I just want to go over the 7 people and who they are and what information you need for those 7 people.
Okay, so it's a funeral expense plan. Please contact me at 919-410-6386, or go to my Instagram, wherever you're seeing this video. I should have my contact information in my bio. Schedule
I'll
some
put it up there. What's the number you want me to put up there? 919.
410-6386.
Okay, so we put that up there. So you're gonna, if they contact you and say they would like to find out about the funeral expense plan, and then what do they need to have when they call you?
Okay, first I'm going to present them the information. So let's go through A through Z, okay, Crystal?
Yes.
So you have your funeral expense plan. It's valid in 3 days after the payment is received. 3 days for accident, okay? 180 days, which is basically 6 months, but it's 180 days because some months have 61 days. So that's 180 days for sickness. Whereas with other routes, some people may have to wait 2 years or so before the insurance kicks in before accidents. This is 6 months. Okay, we'll talk about health. There's really no knockout questions
No pre-existing condition,
unless someone's
disqualifications.
unless someone has cancer. But if the cancer is gone, it's gone. Okay, people can be wherever they're living and have this coverage. Okay, so it's cancer, brain tumors, um, and maybe AIDS. hmm And so from there, you contact the funeral home, not the funeral home, but you contact the funeral expense plan company. They will contact the funeral home to see if it's accredited and if they'll take their form of payment. Sometimes funeral homes get the payment quicker than the insurance companies. Okay, and that they like that because it is an expense to the funeral home until they receive payment. And some funeral homes are not going to take that body or do anything until they know they can secure payment. Okay, so you'll contact them before the funeral expense company, before you contact the funeral home, because they have to make the arrangements. Then you go to the funeral home, and it's not an economy size casket; it's standard. Okay, so they can still have a nice funeral. They can be cremated. They'll have one hearse to the gravesite. they don't do real estate, so you are responsible to pay for that plot. Okay. The funeral director would do what needs to be done because the funeral director is being paid. If you want to have the wake at the funeral home and that's possible, that's paid for. Okay. So whatever involves the funeral is paid for in the one hearse. Okay. And then there is the casket. Even if someone's wanting to be cremated, they have the casket. And not only that, you can have the urn as well. The biggest thing, too, is you get the death certificate. And so if you don't want to present your insurance policy to the funeral home because they already have this, you get the death certificate and then you send that information to the insurance company if your loved one has insurance, and they'll get their check from the insurance company will be mailed to you instead of the funeral home. So you can use this in many aspects, okay? Because some people don't have enough insurance. Some don't have any at all. Some don't can't get the loved one's social security number, okay? May not be able to find the loved one. So you just need to know their state of origin, where they were born, okay? If you are in certain countries, such as Latin America, um, there's the transport back to certain countries or the islands. So it just depends on where you're located. So we won't get into all that right now, okay?
So
Because
can
we
I
have
ask a question? You said
oh,
you don't need their social security number.
no
So then all you need to know about the person is what? Their name, their date of birth. You need the date of
date,
birth.
date of birth, and country of where they were born, their national origin.
And you can cover them. So that's all you need is a name, a date of birth, and where they were born, and you can cover them. Do you need their permission?
No,
Okay. So if you wanted
you
to cover
you want
someone,
to
because
definitely know you have it because if they don't contact the funeral home and whatnot, they're not getting cash back, you know, because this is to cover the funeral. So you
right,
can't pay for the
right,
funeral. Can you reimburse me? That's not happening. A company
right.
be business.
Now, Jonica, you said some people get this because they may not have enough insurance, and sometimes they may take this to pay for that, and then the insurance they do have may be useful for other things, like you said, for mortgages or the bills and
Mortgage,
things of that nature. So this is a good supplement for someone who may not have quite that much, you
right?
know.
Because
And
oh, I'm sorry, because someone may, um, like I said, we lost a loved one an hour and a half ago. So if I all over the place, I'm all over the place. But some people may have to, like, such as if they want certain limousines, they want the carriage and the white horses. They're going to pay for that themselves. The funeral expenses are going to pay for it. So they may have to go into savings, 401ks, borrow money. They still have to pay the plot if it's not cremated, and then they'll need once the insurance company receive the death certificate, they'll get that check, and then they can put that money back into their 401k or their savings because people still have to live after the loved one is gone. Death does not stop the life of everyone. Um,
it doesn't.
they need to take a sabbatical. I did take near a 5 year sabbatical. I worked half a year for 5 years. Okay. When I lost my brother and father 30 days apart, 60 days apart. So the thing is the money has to come from somewhere.
Yes.
So I'll
Now,
help you with
Jonica, okay,
that
so thank you for
too.
giving them that information. And once again, I'm going to put her phone number up there so you can reach out to her. Eventually, I'm going to be also providing that funeral expense plan once again. I did it at one time, and I will be probably by 2026 doing that again.
The
But
sooner,
it's a great resource to have. Now, Jonica, a lot of time we talk about life insurance because it is important. Now, you also do help people with other insurances as well, not only just life insurance. I know you do retirement, you do all those things, and you talked about critical illness. You talked about that. Can we talk about that for a minute? So many people, they just don't elect all those coverages when their companies are offering them, and they think that they can't afford to do it. But Can you talk about why they can't afford not to do it and how they really need to go back and change their elections when the next enrollment period comes around?
Okay. So if you don't have it now, you can buy it. I can find the policy for you to buy. So you get this on the job or off the job. Okay. So if you're going to elect it on the job, you always want to look and make sure it's a supplement that you can continue once you leave the job. Okay. Because once you leave the job, you're older, and then you're going to try to buy these policies outside the job, and they may cost more because you didn't get it while you're younger. So if you can't take it with you from the job, you get one on the job, one off the job, okay? Because let's think about it. If you're paying $25 or $30 a month, you add it up. 10 months is what, 250 for 25, and then you got 2 more months. So that's around $300 for the year. 2 years later, something comes up and you got a $10,000 critical illness policy. You may have a deductible with the insurance company. You may want to use a private hospital, not a public hospital. And if the deductible is $1,000, you can pull use that critical illness or cancer expense, basically critical illness. Use $1,000 from that money to put where it needs to go. If you don't have enough sick time, vacation time, you can use that money to help pay the bills. Um, there's always maybe some
Yeah.
meds and stuff you need, and you can use that money. And this is called, when we start looking at these things as income replacement strategies instead of a bill, we'll feel good about it. And sometimes there are critical illness and chronic illness riders on your life insurance policies. So you do want to look at those life insurance policies to see if it's there. You want to make sure you have it through the job. And there are a lot of companies out there. Y'all seen the duck commercial, so I'm not naming companies, okay? Because we don't know what's in your area and what you're eligible for, so I don't name companies, okay? We're naming Dr. Jonica Rowland and Crystal's book. That's it, okay? And then we'll look at the appropriate company for you. But there's critical illness. A lot of people, they don't elect to get the disability insurance, and it's not easy getting it from the government, okay? But however, that may be available, especially if a family has young children and the parents gone, they may get a social security check to replace that income, okay? And the caregiver may get a check for taking care of that family. So that's taking care of lump sum. So I don't want the social security. Then if you're eligible for the disability insurance, if you're eligible based off of what the federal government says, you can have that. But you can't depend on that. The one thing you can depend on is what you are paying for.
That's the fact. So, Jonica, a lot of people, when it comes to disability, that's a lengthy process. That is a complex process. Do you help people with that application as well?
No, because that's fee based. So it's better to get an attorney who may do it and get paid after they win the case. Okay. There's
Okay.
only but so much we can do, sleep 8 hours and take care of ourselves. There's only but so much we can do for free. But the disability process, disability claims, all that is a long process. But if you buy your own disability insurance, that's going to help carry you through. You have short term disability at the job, some people pay for that. Then you can buy the long term disability. And if that one is one you can take with you when you leave the job and you decide to become self employed or whatnot and go after your dreams, you take those benefits with you. Okay. Because it's nothing like, let's say hairstylists. I'm not like knocking hairstylists, okay? But if they have a disability and they really hadn't set money aside for it, they're out of business. Construction,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not having disability insurance, you're out of business. But if you got the life insurance and you have the certain riders on there, you can use your life insurance while living.
Yes.
But sometimes you just need to buy them individually, okay? Especially like if someone got health insurance, they want all those small co-pays and stuff, but that costs you premium. But if you have your critical illness expense, cancer expense goes ahead and reimburse you for certain treatments and whatnot. If you have your life insurance that may have some cash value, if you have that short term, long term care disability, rich uncle, rich aunt like Crystal. No, let me stop. If you have other resources, when life happens, you can go ahead and pull from that. And I just don't think everybody is really um facing reality here. You know what they keep talking about recession. So you think you're going to get the money from other people to help pay for something you should have done?
Yes.
Oh, and
Now,
mhm.
Jonica, some people don't know what a living benefit is. Can you talk about for a moment a living benefit? Sometimes they only think insurance is for when people pass away, but can you explain what they need to have in place so that they have access to it while they're alive?
Okay. So the living benefits. Those are those riders I was talking about. So each insurance company has it designated. I was speaking to an insurance agent, and I'm not knocking them, but they're busy trying to sell me something from an old company I work for, some other policies, and I'm like, I keep telling you I'm an insurance agent, okay? So they really pushed me there. Are you going to convert this policy? And I was like, well, whoever you have the policy on, if they want to pay for the conversion, I keep telling you, and I don't see the living benefits. So she's there with her manager, who has her. I think they were trying to recruit me, so I'm telling you stories, okay? And she's like, "What is living benefit?" I'm like, "Doug, you've been doing insurance longer than I have, okay?" And so what I'm trying to say is, it's important for you to ask the right questions. If you're not coming to me, you're going to someone else. Ask the right questions. Make sure they are bona fide. Okay, and so getting to the living benefits, that is the critical illness, chronic illness, certain, it's not long-term care insurance, but those are certain benefits that can be used with your long-term care. Okay, and so let's segue into living benefits. So those critical illness, chronic illness riders that we were talking about, that may be on your life insurance policy. If it's not, you just buy them through through the workplace, get it at a lower cost, or you go ahead and buy them now so that you'll have it at a lower price at a younger age. No matter what your age is, it's younger than what it will be tomorrow. Okay, so you go ahead and get that, and those benefits are for conditions that normally put people out for the long run, and that's when you would think about long-term care insurance. You can buy a hybrid life insurance policy that will have long term care and life insurance. And there's just some things we don't know because um, some people haven't spoken about them with us. Okay. Maybe the wealthy knows, but if we have a wealthy mindset, it's up to us to keep learning. Okay. And long term care insurance, you do buy a separate policy for that. And that goes ahead and pays for companionship and certain benefits that your Medicare or your health insurance is not going to pay for, because they're going to pay for the home health care and all that. But sometimes someone may just need someone to cook, drive them around, have some companionship. Um, Need more than 8 hours, they may get through um, their home health, okay? Because everyone's not going to get Medicaid either. So that's the
Right.
purpose of having long term care and those living benefits, because you love someone. If you don't have them, that means your family has to take off time from work. And some people had to quit the jobs to take care of the sick loved one. And that's an income gone. Okay. And then you're hindering generational wealth. So that's another purpose for having these benefits. Crystal, you was like, how are we going to segue this? Generational wealth.
Yes, yes, yes,
Not a car. Car
yes,
ain't going
yes.
to appreciate. But you want a home. You want to make sure people are still able to work, not having to take off work, being stressed out. Um, and we really don't want that to happen for our sandwich generation, the sandwich generation, those who have to care for their children and their parents. They're in between. Okay, so the families have to come together and have this discussion. And I don't mind having a Zoom meeting with you, complimentary, so that you can have this discussion with your family, so you can figure out which way you're going to go now and not later.
Now, what areas are you licensed in, Jonica?
Well, I'm licensed in several states, and if I don't get a license in the state where you're living, and it is a nice premium, okay, um, I can go ahead and find you a licensed agent there. But I am able to get licensed in every state. Some
Okay.
states like $300. So you
Okay.
make a little bit of money. That means I got to pay 300 for the little bit of money, and you better keep paying for your insurance because I mean some people just not having a hard talk. You got to pay. You got to pay your life insurance.
You
You
do
got to
have to pay.
insurances.
Now,
And
Jonica,
for the, can I interrupt? For the
yes.
funeral expense plan, you can provide those benefits yourself. Any referrals I get, if you don't want to promote it yourself, you get $25 per person, per family you refer to me. You get a $25 check, but you don't have to have a license to promote that. And that's in around 48 states.
You're talking about for the funeral expense
The
plan.
7
For the
funerals.
7 people. So
7.
if you heard about this today, you come back and you hear about this and you want to tell her about it, then you can definitely refer somebody to her. Make sure that you let them know that you heard it on Storytime with Shaw Crystal, and then reach out to her at 919-410-6386, 919-410-6386, and let her know that.
And if you know
Now,
Crystal will get $25. Okay, so there are plans and there are different ways to handle things without everyone having to have a license in every state. So I can get licensed in every state. So I'm in license in maybe like 20, 30 states. So you don't worry about that. Just give me a call. We'll get you taken care of. We just have to start somewhere and find out what you need.
so Jonica, what are some of the biggest mistakes that people are making these days? In do people pick the wrong policies? Some people get a term life and they should get a whole life. And can you talk to the people a minute about if there's an age range when you should get certain policies or not? I mean, because sometimes people they just go and they just get a policy and they don't know what they're getting.
But at least they got something. That's why it's important to have that insurance review. And you'll contact me. Okay, so we'll put my calendar up there. You can call me. We're going to get this done. And we will look at what you have. If you have a term insurance, you go back to that agent or that company and see if you can convert it into a permanent policy. Because if it's a 10-year term insurance, those premiums are going to increase. If it's a 20-year term policy insurance, it's going to increase. If you're old enough to have a 30-year policy term insurance, it's going to increase. And it will increase when the term is up. So if you're not insurable when the term is up and your premium quadruple, you have to determine whether or not you can continue paying the quadruple amount if it quadruples, or if you're healthy enough to get another policy. But if you can convert it in 5 to 10 years, you will go ahead and convert it as soon as possible so that you can pay less premium and have a permanent insurance. And the permanent, because term is like renting, and the permanent insurance is like owning, whether it's a condo or a house or some acres of land. That's owning. So that means that permanent insurance, if it's a whole life, may go out to 100 and 120 years old. And then if it's a universal life insurance policy, it will go out as long as you pay the targeted premium. So it may be 80 or 90 years old. But you're not going to get a term insurance at age 80. Okay, so it's just good to get that whole life, because in that whole life, if it's not a final expense, I'll go back to what the final expense is. Okay, but the whole life has cash accumulation, and you can use that and you get it based off your current health condition. Their final expense is for those who just want something quickly. They don't want to do the blood work. And there's some whole life where you don't have to do the medical, the blood work, and whatnot. But just remember, those cost more. So if you're relatively healthy, go ahead, do the blood work, the physical, what's required, so that you can see if you pay the lowest premium. I had some person they were young, and then they had a certain condition because they had a growth spurt. Okay, it involved the veins near the kidneys. Okay.
And
However,
children, I want to throw a sidebar in there if I can. If you have a grandchild or you have a child and you're not sure about if they insure them anyway. It's not expensive. You can get children policies for under $10 a lot of times. I mean, a lot of times you can insure your grandchildren and small children for little of nothing. And
yeah,
if you
three or
don't
four.
think that yeah, two, three, four, $5, and if you don't think your child is responsible enough, get the policy. When I came up, my mother had the policy until I was 21, and she gave it to me. So we need to go back to doing that. If you don't think your young adult that is having babies has taken care of that, you, as the grandmother, concerned aunt, cousin, get it for them. But make sure those babies are covered because it doesn't matter. The sad thing is, children are outliving parents, and parents are outliving children. It doesn't matter. It happens to everybody, and everybody needs to be covered when that day and time comes. So you want to make sure that you talk with somebody. And I have Jonica's number going across the bottom of the screen, so you can contact her for the consultation. It doesn't matter what area, and just call her anyway. Say, Jonica, I see that you cover, and I just want to show you something so you can get an idea about what she does here because she does do a lot of different things. So that when you contact her, you can kind of have an idea the different conversations you can have. We're talking about insurance now, but she does cover multiple things. Okay, so when it comes down to it, you don't just have to, call her for that. She's qualified for a lot of different areas to cover you. Okay. So when you reach out to her, she specializes in retirement planning to help you retire well and leave a legacy. Okay. So she talks about insurance reviews, life insurance, annuities. She'll go over those things with you. Okay. And she specializes in these things. And if you go to her website, drjonicarowland.com, that's what you see on the screen, DR, and her name, Jonica, Jonica, Rowland, ROWLAND.com. And then you'll see these things. And if you go into services here, that's where you can see how she can help you with the different services. There's a lot of stuff on her website, but if we go here, that's when you can see the different areas: the retirement planning, annuities, insurance reviews, income strategies, life insurance, social security optimization. So she can help you in a lot of areas. And Jonica does a thing every so often during the week where you can definitely log on and speak with her and get on her email list, and she'll definitely share some stuff with you. So I'll let her do that. And if you go to her website, you can definitely set up an appointment. If you go there, you can fill out your information, request an appointment, And once again, 919-410-6386, 919-410-6386. Or you can email her at info@dr.jonicarowland.com. So you can definitely do those things and make sure. So we wanted to make sure that you knew that she is able to do a lot more than just that. Anything you want to add to that, what I just said, Jonica?
Yes, yes. Text me. I'll send you my calendar so you can get to me quicker. But you can use those resources. Jonica at jonicarowland.com, info at drjonicarowland.com. I want to be found, okay? And so call me, text me. Just realize that even though I started in 2005, our team have people who've been in the industry over 50 years. So when you start adding up all our experiences, you have around 120 years of experience coming together where our team is coming together. So I don't want you to think Jonica is going to be the only one looking at that. It's our fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we're doing the right thing for you. Just as a doctor, when you go into the doctor's office, he's making sure he does the right thing for you. They're paying all that overhead and all that too. And so I am part of a team, and if we need to come together, we come together to make sure you get the right thing done. Like, such as if you go back to your past insurance companies, not insurance companies, but past employment, past employers, and you find out that, hey, I still got a 401k there, and I can't touch the 401k and manage it because someone else has to manage it and make my allocations, because of the simple fact I no longer work for the company. Then
Wow.
you want to roll that money over. So in the event something does happen, you rolled over that money, maybe kept a certain portion to take care of an illness or a funeral or whatever you need to do, but you want to make sure you have access to your money. And when you roll it over, that's when you find out whether or not you want to leave it in a 5, 7, or 10-year annuity, so it can grow. Because if it's sitting somewhere else, it may be accumulating, but then fees are coming out. So after a certain age, you want to be in the accumulation stage. You just want to find out your risk tolerance. You don't want to lose money anymore just leaving your money sitting
Yeah.
anywhere. You're not touching it, you're not monitoring it. You just want, and so we can talk about that too. How are you going to find the money? How are you going to make this retirement last? How are you going to handle recession, decession? How are you going to handle the good, the bad, and the ugly? We don't want you stressing over money, and the biggest way not to stress over money is to prepare and plan and watch our spending habits. In the minority and Asian community, there's, back when I did my research, I did do a research study. Okay, um, we have over $1 trillion or so among us. Okay, so
Wow.
what are we doing with that $1 trillion?
Yeah. That's right. And I want to say shout out to About That Wallet. About That Wallet is in the building. That's another young man. I have to get you back too, because he has a wealth of information about a lot that has to do with your money. He will get you right with your money. I'm bringing you people that's going to help you get it together, y'all. I'm bringing you people that's going to help you get your life in order. Okay. While you live in and after you're gone, when it comes to your legacy. Jonica, now I want to ask you this. A lot of people don't think about the documents that they need to make sure that they have in place for banking and things like that. When people pass away unexpectedly, and sometimes wives and children, they try to go get information on behalf of their family. Can you talk about that for a moment? Some things that they need to make sure that they have in place in certain areas to be able to get access for when these unexpected things happen.
Well, you do need a social security number. You want to keep up with the name of the insurance companies and the policy numbers, because that's a lot of paper to go through. That's why it's good to have the conversation.
And that's why it's good to get this book, because in this book you can put it in there. I got a place for you put it. But now when it comes to going to the bank, there's a lot of things that you need to understand about how it needs to be set up. So some people don't know about trust, they don't know about the estates, all those different things. If you have assets, and Jonica and people like that will make sure that you know exactly what to do to set up to protect yourself. Sometimes people want to make sure that they have things, they want to avoid probate. It's a lot. If you have a lot of assets, you really need to protect yourself. If you don't have a lot of assets, but you still want to make sure that you protect your family, if you have married and divorced, or if you have people in your family to pass away or change their names, you have to make sure you update that information. That's important, because you will not have access, or they may not have access as your beneficiary if the information doesn't match. Okay, so those are important things that you need to understand. You need to make sure that when people get remarried or divorced, that you go back and update your information. How often should they check their policies and make sure that everything is intact, Jonica?
every year or two until you understand it. You might need to check it every 6 months. You
And
have
for a parent, and for a
to.
parent and family members, especially like if you have an elderly parent, be nosy.
Mm-hmm,
Go see the paperwork. Don't just ask them. Don't just take their word for it. Look at it. Make sure it is what they think they have, because I'm sure you have seen times when people thought they were insured, but it had expired. Is that correct?
and then expired. It just turned up, and they stopped paying it. They stopped paying it. So if
Or aged out? Do people age out and they don't realize that they aged out too with the term life?
with the term life, if you're with whatever company you with, make sure you can convert it to a whole life. If you're with a company that's just doing term life and saying invest the rest, and you don't have the knowledge about investing the rest, you're just gonna have that term, and it's gonna quadruple. I mean, the premiums change, and if you don't pay the premium, that means you forfeit. That means you the policy is gonna end. Yeah, so you can call it expired because we're talking about death. That's expiration too. Okay,
Yes.
and
So
so
let me get this
you
straight. If you have a term life insurance and it's a term, and you've had this policy for 10 or 20, 30 years and you paid into it, but you realize that you're listening to Dr. Jonica now and you're like, man, I need to switch this because the longer I wait, the older I get, the more expensive it's going to get.
hmm
You need to consider having a conversation. Am I right about that, Dr. Jonica?
Yes, you have to consider having the conversation because of the simple fact that a lot of people won't have more money later. Some people are thinking that they'll have more money later or they're going to spend less money. But, and don't, please don't use the term paid in. I'm not being disrespectful because this is not an investment. Okay. Insurance, again, is an income replacement strategy. Investments mean you paid into real estate, you paid into stocks, but you,
Well, yeah, yeah. Well,
a
I
term.
guess I'm saying you spent your money all those years, and
Mhm.
some people may think because they've spent their money all those years, they don't want to change. But it might be feasible for them to change. You know, you're stuck in your ways. You're in a habit. You
Mhm.
don't know no better, so you just stay there and you think I'm covered. But
Right.
there may be a better way for you to be covered. You know, you
Right.
may be able to get more coverage, and there may be something that if you get an expert, they can help you with that. You
Right.
know,
The
so
best
that's what
way
that is.
to decide if you need, because the term, you are going to pay less money, you are going to get a larger amount of insurance. Okay, in the event someone passes away. Okay, but that's still like renting your whole life and your permanent insurances. You are going to pay more, but that's still like owning. Okay, and you're paying more so that it can last longer. You're paying more because of longevity. We hope not to go anywhere before 100 and 120, because I mean, if you're in Raleigh or some places, you've probably seen recently 103 years old. They were having the drive-by birthday horns. I mean, drive-by birthday party for a 103-year-old person. Okay, so if they had those whole life permanent policies to go out to 120 years old, they're still covered. So remember, the permanent policies are like owning, okay? And your term insurance is like renting. So if you're having a term for 10, 20, or 30 years, remember it will increase. But if that's all you can afford to have now, you go ahead and have that term insurance. And then when you're ready to convert it, make sure you're with a company that's going to allow you to convert that insurance to a whole life, a universal life, or whatnot. So the biggest thing is preparation. In my research, I interviewed financial advisors um, to see how they are reaching minorities, whether it be women or immigrants or minorities. And the biggest thing was to make sure everyone understood what was occurring, what's happening. Um, when you're looking at your parents, try to understand their Medicare, okay? October 1st is when we can review the Medicare plans for 2026, and I'll be happy to help you with that, okay? because that's the biggest thing. If we can stay healthy, we can
Wow.
be around to have the legacy to pass the wealth of knowledge and money on to the next generation. But if we don't understand what we have, we're not going to be able to do that. And don't be afraid that your children may know more, or more than you. We want the generation to know more than us. We want them to do better than us and demand respect, though. But we do want them to do better, know better, and we
That's
want.
fact. That's a fact. Jonica, as we get ready to close out, because I know you've got to handle some business. Once again, my condolences to the family for what happened earlier today. Anything that you want to let the people know? I know you do a newsletter. I know that you have a call that you do or Zoom. Feel free to let the people know about that as well.
It's a
And
weekly
if
call. Hmm. It is a weekly call. It is every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. where we're talking about legacy planning. Not just that, reaching our health goals, our wealth goals. Remember, this is Self Care Awareness Month, so let's keep the self care going too. So we're going to lose weight. We're going to stay healthier. We're going to focus on our careers. We're going to just plan on what we're going to do to take it to the next level. Let me hear you say next level. So
yes, yes,
we just want you to think right now what you don't have. If you don't have insurance, let that be your priority. And join us on the weekly Tuesday calls. Text me. I'll send you the link. Please announce yourself on the calls, okay? Because we want to know who's with us, okay? And we're going to hold each other accountable to reaching our
it
goal.
doesn't matter where they are when they call in, right?
No, it doesn't matter. Um,
Okay, males,
I-
females, no age range. Just if you're interested in getting
no
information, call
age,
her.
no age.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Listen, I know that this is not a topic we want to talk about, but we really, really want to get serious. Don't forget, reach out to me. Reach out to me about getting this book. I have quite a few that have just ordered up. I think I've had about 10 orders this week. I don't talk about it that much, but I'm going to start talking about it more because it's really important to have that information written in here for your family so they know where your information is, to be able to speak to them and just really find out. And not only that, but telling them the things that they need to know so that if they need to prepare for you and you haven't written it out. If you haven't written out, some people write out the stuff. They write out their own obituaries and stuff. If you haven't done that, leave the information for your children so they don't have to go scrambling. It really takes a lot of the pressure off of them, you
And,
know.
and
And
can I add there's some things if you're not going to go to the attorney for your will and whatnot, get some of that stuff notarized, okay? And stuff because people can contest some things, but if your signature
whew,
there, get
but don't I know about the
stuff.
contesting? Don't I
Mhm.
know I could? That's the reason
So,
why I wrote the book, and that's $100,000 lesson that I learned.
so
Okay,
we've learned.
$100,000 lesson that I learned. So
See,
I know about that.
now
So and I'm gonna tell you something.
$1,000 pop.
People change. People change. They are not who you think they are. When you pass away, you need to write out what you want because they don't always do what you think they're going to do. You think you leaving somebody in charge and you want them to do certain things, and it don't always work that way. You think you covering your children, it don't always work that way. So please, please, please get to know people, know who you are leaving in charge, and protect your family. Protect your family. Like she said, notarize things, give them copies. And I'm gonna be a little bit more transparent again. Read when their parents give you the information, read it. Because
Don't
I'm gonna tell you something. I found out like 5 or 10 years later because I didn't really pay attention because I had so many deaths happening and so much happening with me with hospice and caregiving and stuff that I missed something that I should have caught sooner. I when I read it, I was almost I was almost mad at myself, but I couldn't be because I said all I can do is take this, and that's why I try to educate people. The
mm-hmm.
mistakes I made, the
That's
omissions,
done.
and the things that happened to me, I am trying to make sure they do not happen to you. I'm gonna say that again because I need you to get this.
Mm-hmm. It
I'm
was
not
good.
out here to entertain. I'm not out here to make money off you. But what I am out here to do is to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes I made. I am out here to make sure that I'm gonna get close on you. I'm out here to make sure you don't feel the pain I felt. I'm out here to make sure you don't endure the losses that I have taken if you don't have to when it comes to inheritances. I'm trying to make sure you don't go through what I went through. I'm just gonna leave it right there.
Can I say three things?
Yes.
Okay, one, there are some statute of limitations. So you read some stuff later, and then you have to have the money to get an attorney to look into it. Okay, so let's prevent that. Funerals and weddings, you see people true colors. You see people true colors,
What
and
you talking about?
know that Crystal and I, we went through some lived experience. It's just not my work experience or the education. We lived through some of this, and we're silver haired now. So let's take that wisdom, take the wisdom, run with it. And like I said, I did a dissertation on this. I did research on this because I had to figure out how we're going to make it work for our society, and we can make
Yeah.
it work together. And don't be ashamed when you contact me. There's no shame in your game. We're in a non-judgmental atmosphere, and
Yeah,
there's so
thank you for that. That's good. That's good right there. Because sometimes you might feel I'm gonna use the word that some people don't like to use, but you might almost feel dumb or stupid. Like, how did I do this? How did I miss this? How did I let this happen? How did I go this long like this? These are the things that you start saying to yourself, and you start feeling that way. And a book that I have coming out, another book that I have coming out, talks about those things, and then you weigh yourself down in guilt and shame, and it takes a toll on you because you really you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself and just be grateful for the opportunity to fix it. You have to be grateful for the opportunity to fix it and take advantage of it. When the opportunity is knocking at the door like this, take advantage of it for real. You know, um, Go back, look at your paperwork. If you don't get anything out of what we said tonight, go back, look at your paperwork, look at your expiration dates, the type of conversion policies you have, the living benefits you have, and all the things that you heard Dr. Jonica talk about. Weigh in, do you have the short term, the long term, the critical illness, and all those things? They come in handy. When I stayed out of work, when I had the rotator cuff, and I got a check and I had short term and then it turned to long term. I mean, it paid off. It pays off. Critical illness. If you get a diagnosis, you get a check, and then you get a check every month. I had a critical illness once. The policy I had with one job was every time I went to do my annual checkup, I got a check. So there's a lot of things you can do. But
that's
we're
why
going to close this out tonight. Jonica, I'm going to let you make some closing remarks. Any closing remarks you want to make? And then we're gonna let you go in because I know you have to, again, condolences because she had a death in the family today. So but we still here. We still here sharing. So any closing remarks?
yes, schedule your appointment today. Don't put off. Like you said, there's no better time than the present. Be sure to forgive yourself. Forgive, forgive. Just forgive yourself and others, and keep a clear mind so that you can fact check and get your house in order. Get your house in order. Do it now, because I know you have some big dreams. You're going to travel. You're going to have this invention. So get all this stuff together now so you don't have to worry about it later. Because that's what love is about.
Wow. Get your house in order. We love you. We'll be back again. Send us some questions. Let us know if there's something particular that you really need to know about that we need to get into. And then let's do this. Have an amazing day. We'll be back Wednesday with story time. Don't forget to reach out to Dr. Jonica 919-410-6386 about a consultation or to ask about the funeral assistance program, where all you need to know is someone's date of birth, where they were born, and the name. You don't have to have their social, and you can cover them. And that is not for a policy, but that's funeral assistance. She can tell you more. All right. Don't forget to say you saw it on story time. All right. I love you. And we'll see you on the next story time. My name is Crystal Bodie Smith. I'm your hope catalyst. My mission is to stir up the gift, instill hope, and save lives. I always say keep hope alive because you have to recycle that hope You have to pick yourself up and keep going, wipe yourself off, and live and go do what you need to do. And do it for you, whatever you do. All right? God bless. See you on the next story time, y'all. Thanks, Jonica. See you later.
A catalyst for change with the chance to thrive. Crystal is the one to stir up gifts and save lives. You get exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience, ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime. Hey, come on.